Texans go. I'll play on Sunday. They're playing the Saints. It's in Houston. Saints are favored by 2. Laramie Tunsil is going to be active.
Hey.
So you're getting back that left tackle. Titus Howard, I believe, is back on the right tackle.
All right.
You're starting to get some guys back on this lineup. You still have which now I can't remember. It's the right guard that you've had who's actually been the only guy there that you traded for from Tampa Bay. You're able to have him, but you're getting much closer to the lineup. And once Juice Scruggs comes back off of injured list, which he is now eligible to come back from, so once he is healthy, you'll move him back to center most likely, and move Patterson, who's been playing center, doing pretty well, to left guard. And that'll be your starting 5 that you would like to have. Shaq Mason is the guy's name.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you can have that starting 5, that changes the dynamic a little bit because you may be able to start running the ball a little bit more, which they have had no luck running the ball so far this season, even with Dameon Pierce, a good running back, but he is not having a good season.
Do you take the ball out of CJ's hands, though?
But you've been trying to run the ball anyway. I'm just, you want to get 20 carries a game to a running back.
Yeah,
it's still 40 passes a game, if you're going to run 60 plays. But the offensive line is starting to get healthy. The problem is the Saints secondary is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So Stroud's going to have his biggest test yet. This could be the week he throws his first pick because this Saints defense is pretty good at picking the ball off. It's going to be a difficult game for the Texans, but you know what? I'm a homer. I'm going with the Texans. The Saints team is not great. Derek Carr, Carr's lucks in Houston. As someone who is a Texans fan from the beginning, Cars don't do well in Houston.
Yeah, no.
No. I'm sure he grew up around this franchise.
We'll put it this way: one's on TV now.
One is on TV now. No, but I think this will be a closer game. It'll depend. This will be a huge test for C.J. Stroud, that if he's able to still move the ball at that rate, if Bobby Sloak is still able to figure out ways to get this Texans team playing and get this offense moving against a really good Saints secondary. Are you able to run the ball on this team that is a little bit weaker at the run game, run defense? Are you able to do that because you have to, you can't just keep trying to throw it into a really good secondary?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I'm going to lean Texans on this one. And normally I would take the Saints in this sort of matchup just because of their defense. I love the way their defense plays. But C.J. Stroud, I've picked against him for the first couple weeks of the season. I'm not doing it anymore. I just he is unbelievable back there, and I think he can win by more than 2 points.
Yeah, that's it. And so at home, I will give Houston that this crowd's going to start to get into it more, that this Houston team is starting to give fans a reason to get excited again. So I think that they will have a big moment in that game. It's going to be a big weekend in Houston because you have that, and then you have the game Minute Maid afterwards.
Oh, yeah, that city's going to be buzzing.
It's going to be buzzing.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe one of the reasons why also you're having the day game on Monday is because the Cowboys play on Monday Night Football. So you didn't want to have the Rangers and Dallas playing at the same time.
Yeah, probably don't want to do that one.
They're on different networks, and I think the different network was like, yeah, you know what? We don't want to go up against that because we're going to get terrible ratings. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's a day game on Monday. Let's go. Ravens-Titans. Ravens are 4.5-point favorites at Titans. This is the international game, another game in London.
Yep.
Ravens went there earlier this week.
Monday.
Have hung out. They've been hanging out, trying to get up to it. Titans didn't leave till yesterday.
Yeah.
It's becoming a thing where people are trying to figure out how to get over there and not be jet lagged in that game and be ready and be able to be focused and all that. And
they're gonna have to. The NFL is going to make this happen where it's a regular.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're really trying to push it. They're probably gonna put more and more games. Hopefully they figure it out more like they're starting to figure out Thursday Night Football, that it's not always terrible. You get like 8 good Thursday Night Football games a year now, as opposed to 0.
Yeah, that was rough.
When it was on NFL Network. So I think if you figure out a way to make some of these games decent and have teams that are over there maybe for 2 weeks and make it so people can, so you have more of an opportunity to be over there and you don't have these jet lag games. But this is the thing. I think that the Ravens are going to have some problems even though they got there early because it still is an international game. The Ravens have had problems with drops. And when you're going up against a team with a coach like Mike Vrabel, who is just a kind of hard-nosed, understands how to pull out bad games, I think this game's not going to be great. I'd like that the Ravens got there early, but I'll take the Titans with the points. With the 4.5 points, I will take them. I think the Ravens can still win this game, but I think it's an ugly game that is close. So I'll take the 4.5 points.
That's interesting. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take the Ravens to cover the 4.5. I like the fact that they've been there since Monday, and everything that's coming out from their media is like, hey, man, we love it over here. And we were surprised to see that people love us over here.
Yeah.
Like Lamar is excited to be over there and people are recognizing him. And this team, Mark Andrews said it, this team is dangerous. It's just a sleeping giant right now.
Yeah.
And I think this is the perfect opportunity, catch a team that's a little bit jet lagged to kind of get in rhythm on this offense, eliminate the drops, blow this team out, cover the 4.5.
If they eliminate the drops, I don't think it's much of a game. But I just think a lot of these London games are being just they're just kind of slugfest, and you don't get the prep up for them enough, and you just kind of go out there and fight. And so if it was 2.5 points, I'd take the Ravens, but I think a field goal game is possible in this. So that's why I'll take the Titans. Commanders and Falcons. Falcons 2.5 point favorites in this game. But there's a big one. If the Falcons can start going, it's a team a lot of people didn't have doing much this season. Desmond Ridder would step it up to that next level. Bijan Robinson looks amazing. Like that difference between Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. And I know Gibbs has been hurt, but you look at that difference of, they're both really good players and they can be electric. And man, Bijan is just, hey, we're getting the red zone. Just get him the ball. Just any way you can get him the ball, and he's going to get in the end zone.
They had another sweet skyline shot of him where they throw him the ball. He catches it behind his back without looking at it and finishes the play. Bijan is not real.
No, it's crazy. Commanders are banged up on defense. Falcons are 3-0 at home. I'd have the Falcons covering this.
I'll take the Falcons too. Bijan is incredible.
He's just so good. And if you make Desmond Ridder look good, you're that good. Seahawks and Bengals. Bengals 3-point favorites. Burrow says he's finally getting healthy. We saw last week he started to be able to move around a little bit more. He was basically stuck in the pocket for the first few weeks of the season. Now that he's moving around, buying himself a little bit more time, he gets Jamar Chase the ball again and again and again. And unlike, I know we're not going to get the Cowboys, but unlike Jerry Jones, who wants to spread the ball to all his receivers, get it to your star receivers. He gets it to Jamar Chase. They win the game. They are now favored against a Seahawks team that has a better record. If you're the Seahawks, you have to pressure Joe Burrow. You have to try and get at him and make him not be able to get time to get the ball out because that's what's been stopping him. But I think the Bengals are starting to figure it out. If he's healthy, then this Bengals team can change.
I agree. I like the Bengals at home as well. The Seahawks, they're going into a pretty rowdy environment, and that team is finally giving their fans reasons to believe moving forward. I think it's going to be too much to handle for the Seahawks. Joe Burrow, with the injury too, healing up, he can finally drive the ball better because he was having a hard time. Like that 15-yard pass, it was kind of floating out there a little bit. So
that's if he started to look better last week and he has another week of healing, I that's where you start to see, okay, this is the Joe Burrow we expect to see. Let's go. Colts, Jaguars, AFC South on the line. The Jaguars are coming back from that hangover from London. They spent 10 days in London, adjusted their clock to London time,
long time,
and now are back trying to readjust your clock back to time in Florida. The Colts and you basically are going up and scouting a team that you haven't seen Jonathan Taylor play this year, really. He got 6 carries, I think, last week.
Yeah.
You have Gardner Minshew is now playing your starting quarterback. You don't really know what they're going to do with him. So you're coming off of overseas for 2 weeks and then trying to go straight into a game where you don't know what you're going up against. I think that's going to be a lot for the Jaguars, and they just haven't looked really good this year.
Yeah.
And I think all those kind of things going against them, they're getting 4 points. They're giving 4 points as well, the Jaguars. I'll take the Colts. They've looked pretty good this year. They've looked, not great, but they've looked better than I thought they would. I think Gardner Minshew will get you a couple wins in this span before teams really start to figure him out, and then it starts to go downhill a little bit. But then you have Anthony Richardson back, and it changes the game plan up again.
Yeah, again, I don't like this because we are in unison. Again, for all the reasons you just mentioned, that's a lot to keep up with for the Jags. And when you're playing an offense that presents these problems you haven't seen yet, you need all the preparation time you can get. And they're readjusting their clocks. They're spending travel days.
And if you just talk about, even if the coaches, can get their stuff done and they can get out there, you're talking about players that, if one linebacker who's out there is just having a brain fog.
Yeah, he's still adjusting.
And he misses out on that whole thing where you're like, by the way, Jonathan Taylor does this little move and that breaks it for a touchdown. Or Gardner Minshew likes to throw, he'll look you off this way. All those little things that you're missing because you've been on the road, it's another one of the problems of, well, if you leave guys over there for 2 weeks, you probably want to have a bye week on the way back.
Right.
So that you don't, you can readjust to coming back over.
And I will say this as well. There's not a huge drop-off when Gardner Minshew comes in from Anthony Richardson. They just present different problems.
Yeah. No, and Gardner Minshew's been good. He's one of those guys, though, you go, can he play? How many weeks can he play before you start to see diminishing returns?
Yeah.
Because people start to figure him out a little bit more.
Right.
One more before we go to break, and then we'll get to the Cowboys. Lions 3-point favorites at the Buccaneers. This is the toughest test so far for Tampa Bay. They've looked pretty good so far, but they also have wins over the Vikings, Bears, and Saints.
Oh, well, that's
so. Let's
different.
just say there's two of those teams that are really bad.
Yeah.
By the way, the Bears, if you want to move on from Justin Fields, there's a good chance you have 2 first-round pick, 2 like top 3 picks, because Carolina looks terrible, and you have their pick because you got in the trade that you traded away this. So if you want to make a trade of Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., if you get those 2 guys, and you just put together that you just move on and you just start that way, just saying it's a possibility.
That's an interesting scenario.
That's if you tank again and it doesn't work, and you just go down and you get number 1 and number 2, and everybody thought that was going to be Arizona, but Arizona, apparently Josh Dobbs is a better quarterback.
Yeah.
Justin Fields. I think there's some coaching in that too. But if it's just an interesting because they have that Carolina pick, and Carolina's the only team without a win so far this year.
I know a couple Bears fans, and I'm talking diehard Bears fans, and they would not be upset with that scenario you just presented.
You get 1 and 2. Why would you not? Like, you can't trade back out of that and go, let's keep Justin Fields for another year and then pay him a bunch of money.
Are you going to try and salvage this season?
And let's get a new coaching staff in here that'll use him better. Like, I think at that point you say we can get the best quarterback and the best wide receiver. Like, and those are it's a quarterback that's people feel is the next level, would have been the top pick in the last 2 drafts.
Yeah.
And a wide receiver that would have been one of the top picks in the last 2 drafts too.
But does Caleb Williams say, I don't want to play for the Bears. I'll go back and get my NIL
That's possible.
money.
That may also be BS. But so those things where you keep seeing that and you're like, I don't know how trustworthy I'm here. I'm believing all this stuff that he's really saying that all these guys are saying, I am making so much money. I'll come back. Also, once he loses, I think once you lose a little bit more, you're like, yeah, I'll go to the NFL.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Lincoln, I can't play defense.
Right.
Maybe get one.
Maybe.